Hey guys, this is Vinay from ExcelChamp. In this video, I want to show you 10 different ways to quickly summarize the data. Any kind of data, as long as you can bring it in Excel, I'll show you these methods, these ways that will help you to quickly summarize and analyze. So let's look at these 10 ways. I have grouped them in the order of the most simplest, the easiest, the quickest, to the slightly more longer and more complex steps. But of course, they provide more value add. So let's get started. What I have here is employee data. And so this is a fictitious company, and I have loaded the data. Let's look at it. So it's not a lot of data, just about like 70 over rows. And we might have questions on this, like what's the total basic pay, or how many employees in each department, how many people joined in which year, etc., etc. And so the fastest way is to quickly open the data in Excel, and any version is good enough for these tricks. So if you have Excel 2007, 2010, 2013, 2016, really it doesn't matter. In fact, we'll be looking at have been in Excel since ages. So it's not about the version, it's what you do with your current version of Excel. So tip number one is get your data ready for analysis. And as you can see here, there is no column heading here. And in fact, the column headings provided are not very user friendly. So it is a good idea if you neat and tidy your data. And so what I'll do is this likely looks like the last name, and this probably is the first name. So let's call this last name, and this can be the first name. Notice I have used underscore. Well, this can be a good idea. Well, Excel is good and smart enough to handle spaces, but still I personally prefer to use these. But even if you don't, like if you just call it date of birth, this is, or maybe this is not the date of, yeah, okay, this is fine. And let us call this department. Then if this is the base salary or whatever, let's call it salary. Now that we have done the naming, we should also make sure that the data is there are no blank rows and there are no blank columns. So this data is already clean, but imagine if you had blank rows in between. So this wouldn't be a very good idea, and your data can, your total analysis can not be correct if you have blanks counted in, especially if you're calculating average or counting the values. So now that we have the headings, we can now move on to the next step, and that is to sort the data. So our second technique is to quickly summarize the data, and this is the easiest to be done. We all need to do is to go to the Home tab, and here is the auto sum function. So what I'm going to do is to click on the salary, go to the bottom by pressing Ctrl and the down arrow key. This takes me to the bottom, and here maybe I can write down the total, and then it's pretty easy. Just click on auto sum. So as you notice, it grabs the entire data, and you can already see, since I left the blank here, well, right now it does not matter because there's no value, but this is not a good idea. Ideally, we should only count until 71. Press enter. That's it. We have got the total, and if we'd like to format it nicely, we can put a comma So simply by clicking on the comma, now you realize we have a new problem, is the data doesn't fit properly. So this is easily fixed by going to the columns F and G just in between and double click. That's it. The data looks nicely formatted. In fact, while I'm at it, I could even format the entire column so that all the numbers look way much better. And just in case you don't need the decimals, we can get rid of them like this. Done. So with comma formatting, this looks better. And maybe I just need the dollar for this one. So I can do that and remove the decimal. So I got the total, and that's the fastest way to summarize the information. There are 5 hidden functions in here. So most people, we just click on the sigma, the auto sum icon. But do you realize that there is a drop down here? And when you click on the drop down, we can choose to average the numbers. So when I click average, now it is showing you the average. Pressing enter, and the average is 3448. So now you see that this extra value from 72 was captured. Right now it is showing 3448, but if we get another value here, then you notice the average has now changed. So this is not a good idea. That's why I told you it is better to get rid of any blank rows and don't leave any space between them. So by doing this, now nothing will get in between and our total is correct. So this is the average. So probably we can just change it to total average and 3448. Let me format this cell slightly differently so that we can easily spot it. And let's try the third thing is to find the highest salary. So for this, we can go to AutoSum, pick the maximum value, and that's it. This time it picks up correctly. I press enter. The highest salary is 7,514. And a quick check can show me that this is from Paul Macmillan. That's good. And maybe I'll change it to highest salary. And let's look at how to calculate the lowest salary. So again, I'd go to AutoSum and click on minimum. So the formula is auto setup by Excel. You really don't have to type anything. Press enter, and we now know that the lowest salary is 1,300. You might have to do an eyeball check to find out where's the value. Later, I'll be showing you a tip so that these values can be found pretty easily. Well, 1,300 is Peggy Tan. And finally, we like to check. So this is the lowest salary. And similarly, if we'd like to find out what's the total number of employees. So number of employees. And this can be easily found from the count of all the numbers. So as you can see, the numbers are counted and we just press enter. 66. In this case, we have 66 employees, not 71. And maybe we don't need the comma formatting. So we can just simply click on the dollar and remove the decimal. So like this, the AutoSum hides 5 different functions that can quickly help you to summarize the data. No touch and no formulas to write. That's the second fastest way. Next, we look at moving on to our third technique, sorting and filtering the data. So for this, I need to be within the data, and all I am going to do is to click on the sort and filter. So as you can see, depending on your version, you might have different choices available here, but we can pick up from here, and you can see I can sort the data in the ascending order A to Z or the descending order Z to A. So when I click A to Z, you notice immediately the data got sorted in the order of A to Z. And then if you realize, our employee row, the total row also got sorted. So this is not what we want. I am going to delete this row for the time being, and we can later on see better techniques that will not cause this problem to happen. So do remember to watch this entire video, because all the problems that we are encountering, we'll find ways to resolve them, and the last few techniques are going to be very much better. So I'm just showing you from the order of the simplest to the best that will be coming towards the end. Right. So now the data is sorted, and why did we do the sort? Is because we can now very easily see that production has these 4 people, and when you highlight the cells for a particular department, you can see that at the bottom of your version of Excel, you can see the sum 22,000, the maximum value 7,514 from these 4 only, and the count is 4. The average value is 5,546. Now, your version of Excel might not show all the 4 of them. Well, you can add them pretty easily. All you need to do is come into the bottom green status bar, right click, and you'll see all these options available. So as you can see, I have enabled the average, the count, the maximum, and the sum. And since minimum is missing, I'd like to see the minimum, and I can simply click on it. The minimum is checked and the value is visible. Now when I click outside, you realize that now I have got the minimum, the maximum, and the average, and the count, and the total. So all the 5 values that we saw, they are now easily available to us just because we have sorted the data. So this is a great way. You can see for the trainee department, now when I select, I can analyze and summarize the total, the count, the average without even clicking on these auto sum functions. So even a better and faster way without writing it down, and we can see all the 5 values in one shot. So that's the benefit of sorting. And if you'd like to sort on dates, so we can click on the date and go to sort oldest to newest. And now our oldest employee born in the year 1941, Christopher Smith, the founder of the company, is listed at the top. All right. And if you wish to change it to newest on top, well, that's it. So here is the latest, the new employee on the top, the 2001, then 2000 and all. These are the employees that have joined in the later years. So depending on what we want to sort, you might want to sort on the salary. So you can see who is earning the lowest to the highest, and by doing this, now we have sorted on the salary. So this is changeable, and it is a good way to summarize information, because now we can see the lowest to the highest. This is a good summary. I'd rather change it back to the department because that makes the most sense at the moment, right? So done. And now I want to show you another 4th method that will make it even easier to further analyze, because if it is small data, you can count like that. But if you had too many rows, like 20,000, 50,000 or 500,000 rows, then even checking like this is not very effective. So our next technique after you do the sorting is to click on the filter icon. Once we click on the filter, all the data gets filtered. Well, it doesn't seem like anything happened. So if you go to the top, you'll realize that now the top row has these filters. And from these filters, if I can pick a particular department, so let's say I take the remove all and pick only advertising. Click OK. And now we can see only the advertising data. It's easier to select it and analyze. Now, if I had a total row, if I did an auto sum, then I'll be able to see the total only from these people. And the good thing is, as you change the different departments, so now I go to computer science, computer services, and remove advertising, click OK, and voila. You can see that the total has changed, and it's pretty easy now. I might even want to see how many records are there. So let's say here I go to auto sum and choose count numbers. So you realize it's like if you choose this, you'll get a count, but when you count all of them, you are not going to get any value. You'll get a 0 because the count in the auto sum is for counting the numbers. So it doesn't work, but no worries. What we can do is we can count for this column. So when you click on count, don't count these. Instead, we can count this. But you notice because our data is filtered, we are seeing only the 27 to 34 rows. So even though it may work here, it will not work when we change the department, or if I add another department. And now you see we have two departments, but the total is still showing 8. So not a good idea. Well, this is a problem right now. Our next techniques will sort out this issue. So I'm going to delete this formula for now. But the total is still works, and you can see Excel has built a new kind of formula, and it's visible here by pressing F2. This formula says subtotal. So this is a different technique. So just by sorting and filtering, we are able to summarize our data pretty easily, and you can choose different combinations here. I'm going to choose back all the departments again and go to the bottom. We can see that our grand total is still showing nicely. So sorting helps you to see quickly, and if you set up a filter, then the filter makes it easy to view any total. So if I want to pick up any other department or multiple departments, that's easy to do. All right, and we can remove the filter by going to the sort and filter and clicking filter one more time. That's it. The filter is now removed. So our next technique is to subtotal the data quickly. So for this, we'll go to data, subtotal, and it is already asking you which data would you like to subtotal. So since our data is sorted on the department, I'll say that whenever the department changes, please sum the salary and click OK. Immediately, you will see the totals listed way below the each department. So when administration finishes, you will see the administration total is showing you the salary. So this is a great way if you like the old-fashioned reports of all the values and then the subtotal showing one below the headings. So this is a great way, and you can print it out. It'll print very nicely on the subtotals, and you can also see the grand total. So this technique is better because it displays everything, all the department totals in one click. When you don't need the subtotal, you can click subtotal and simply click on the remove all. Moving on to our next technique, I would like to introduce to you tables in Excel. So Microsoft introduced tables in Excel 2007. So they have been around for more than 10 to 15 years, and still most people are not familiar with it. Well, tables are a boon for people who don't want to write any formulas and functions. Just use the mouse. We go to Home, and right about in the center, we have the format as table. One click, you can pick any color here. So I like the purple here. I'm going to take this purple, or you can even go for the ones which have the lines like dark and light. So the data will look way much better. And if it is too much for you, you can always change the colors and even get rid of the colors. So probably let us use a lighter version, and this looks neat and clean. Now, just observe when we are outside the data. My last menu item here says I've got developer, help, acrobat, and power pivot. Yours might be different. Maybe you have the help or the view or the developer as your last icon for the menu. But the moment you step inside the data, now we get a new menu item called table design. So this is only happening because we have converted the data to a table from the home format as table. Now, the table design menu holds lots of nice things for us to use. So the very first thing we are going to do is go to the bottom. I'll remove this old value that we had done previously. And now I am inside the data, the last row. Well, it doesn't matter where you stand, but when you go to table design and you see this total row checkbox, which is usually not checked by default, I'll just check it, and voila. Immediately the total row is added and the total is available. So no big deal. We were able to do this using the sort and the filter method, but this is more powerful. Here, when I want to count now, so I don't need to write any formula. Every cell has a drop down here in the total row. So when I click, I can just say count. This option wasn't available from the auto sum. Okay, so now we can see that there are 66 employees drawing a total of 227. So this is another way to summarize. Now we are able to, you can see the improvements already. We are able to count the number of employees and the total. Well, this doesn't have to always be the total. You can also click on this drop down and pick average. So this is way much easier rather than changing the formulas or doing the auto sum again. We can easily pick the highest value, the lowest value, and there are even more advanced statistical calculations like standard deviation, variance, etc. So this is good. I will change it back to sum, and it's already getting better. One other advantage, let me show you quickly, is that the headings are already having a filter button. But if you notice, I'm outside, and when I scroll, now if I'd like to find out what is this column, is it the date of birth? Is it the date of joining? Well, I can't see the column heading here because it has gone away. I need to scroll up all the way to see, oh, it was date of birth. But if you stay in the table, you will see that these column headers, which are normally said A, B, C, D, E, F, G, when I'm inside and now I'm scrolling. So keep your eyes on the A, B, C, D. You'll see that the A, B, C, D disappears and the column headers have now turned into auto filters with the name sticking there. So first of all, it saves you one row for the headings, and secondly, this heading is a sticky heading. It will stay there. so it becomes even easier to analyze our data. So now when I pick only advertising, okay, you will notice that the count is updated and the total is updated. And you can pick multiple departments and the column will get updated accordingly. So this is already an improvement from our previous technique. Moving to our next technique, we are now going to see how to further simplify and summarize as per our will. So the problem is, if I ask you which departments have been filtered, you might not be able to see all of them, and you'll have to click it here to see advertising, catering, finance, and maybe something else was checked up, but it's not visible. You always have to click on it to verify that. So let me put all of them, and our next technique is available on the table design. It's to slice and dice the data the way we want to quickly summarize and analyze our data. So insert slicer, available here, click, and I am going to slice on the department. Click OK, and now you see there is a department available here, which is a separate box. I can easily elongate it, make it bigger, make it smaller so that it fits all the values, and maybe we don't need it so huge. I can reduce the size. Click outside, and now you'll notice that this slicer, it's a live slicer. So when I click finance, it only picks finance, and I don't have to click other drop downs to find out what is selected. So as you can see, clicking production, clicking training, and the count as well as the total is updated. You can even choose more than one value of the department by holding the control key. If I click production and finance and catering and advertising, as you can see, multiple values have been selected. They are all showing here, and the total has been updated. So using tables is better, and tables with slicer takes it one step higher. Let me clear the filter here, and when you don't need the filter, we can simply click on the heading and press delete. This will remove the filter, but the data will stay there. Our next technique is pivot tables. Pivot tables are fantastic, quick and dirty ways to analyze the data any way you want it. They are going to provide you even more functionality than what the tables can do. So let's look at how a table can be used to become the source for the data. And from here, we are going to create a pivot table to summarize our data. So to create a pivot table, insert, and the very first icon is the pivot table. Click. It automatically picks the entire data, and by default, a pivot table goes to a new worksheet. This works fine for us. I'll simply click OK, and a pivot table is created. So you will see a blank pivot here, and all the column headings, the fields are listed here. So very easy, simply check the department, and we see a non-duplicated list of all the departments. Check the salary, and the total for each department is available. Isn't it fantastic? Previously, we had to choose one department at a time to be able to summarize the data only for that department. Now you can see all of them in one shot. It even gets better. We can now drag one more copy of salary and put it into the values. So now we got two of them, and for the second one, I don't want to see the sum. Rather, I'd like to see the count or the average. So there are all these options available under the Analyze and Design. So these two options, these two menus will appear only when you convert the data to a pivot table. So while I'm inside here, I can see the field settings. One click here, and I'd like to change it to a count. Click OK, and you can see count of salary too. So this is showing you the number of employees in each department and their total salary. Well, the heading doesn't make very much sense. We can change it here. Instead of count of salary to, I'll say number of employees. Press enter, and this looks way much better. Now, in case you want this number of employees to show before the salary, we can swap them by moving them around like this. You can watch my video and articles on pivot tables to learn more about only pivot tables. The link to the other pivot table videos is listed in the links below the video. Similarly, we can add another copy, and now this time I'd like to see the highest salary, and I can change it here itself to the highest salary. Okay, and I get the highest salary. So this is a fantastic way to analyze the data using pivot tables. Very fast and no touch required. Our next technique is where we can write the formulas that can calculate this manually. So let us say we go to the bottom, and here I'd like to calculate. So I can write here total salary, and we write the formula in Excel using the equal to sum, open bracket, and I can click on the last value since we are at the bottom, Control Shift up arrow key, and it picks up all the columns. That's it. I can close the bracket and press enter, and this displays the total salary. The formula is created. We can also write the average salary and equal to. So this is the manual method which gives you the full control. This time I'll show you how to go to the top, Control Shift down, which will also pick the entire data. All we need to do is to close the bracket, enter, and our average is available. So total, average, minimum, maximum, and count, all these functions can be written down here. Our next technique is to write more advanced formulas that will only give us the value that we are looking for. I'd like to introduce to you the if functions. These are called sum if, count if, average if. So let us say if we want to find the total salary for the training department. So this can't be found from our only sum, because we will have to pick only the training department, which is a manual method. So what we will do is we'll just write equal to sum, open bracket, and this will do the total, grand total. Well, don't use sum, use sum if. Sum if means only sum if the department is training. So now we go to the top and we click on the first value, Control Shift down, picks all the department data. If this data is equal to training, then we'd like to sum the salaries. So now I pick the salary, Control Shift down, and it is showing you all the salaries. Close the bracket and enter. So this formula, it says sum, but only if the department is equal to the training, and the value that is summed is the salary. Pressing enter, we get to see the total salary for the training department. So this is an advanced formula, and it's pretty nice. I really use this a lot because this allows you to conditionally format the data. So I just show you the formula here, just in case you didn't catch it. This is the formula that is written here. And this formula comes in many flavors. You can use sum if, you can also use average if, count if, etc. So it will do an average, but only if the department is matching, or the count, but only if the department is matching. So these are slightly more advanced functions, but they provide you the more value. Finally, I'd like to show you our last and final technique. So for this, we are going to see a hidden tool in Excel. As you can see, when I click on data, I have the data analysis button, which may be missing from your version of Excel. So first of all, to activate it, you need to go to File, Options, and look at add-ins. When you click on add-ins, it will show you the list of the available add-ins. So you can see here at the bottom, when you click go, you need to check the Analysis Toolpak. Click OK, and it's added. Now I'll stay inside the data, and I'll click Data Analysis. This opens, there are 19 different statistical analysis tools. The one that we want to use is called Descriptive Statistics. So I'll click Descriptive Statistics, click OK, and we will pick our numerical data, the salary that we want to analyze. So I'll pick only the data, not the heading. If you take the heading, that's fine too. You can say that I have the label, that means the column label in the first row. We want to click on the output, click outside, and maybe I'd like to see the summary statistics in displayed in this column here. So I'll click on this column, and you also need to check the summary statistics checkbox. Once you click OK, Excel will analyze the data and provide you with 10 over different values that are called the statistical analysis. So here you can see we got not only the total, which is the sum, we also got the count, the minimum, the maximum. We also got to see many other values like what's the average, what's the standard error, the median, the mode, the standard deviation, etc. So this is way more than what we normally use, but this is the real data analysis. When you start to go beyond the common sum, count, average, and start to use tables, slicers, pivot tables, begin to use the sum if, count if, and when you begin to play with summary statistics like the ones that we have gotten from the Data Analysis Toolpak, your skills are going to go way above, because now we are able to summarize and analyze the data in better looking ways, which are better than only having the sum or the count. There you have it. 10 different ways to summarize and analyze any kind of data in Excel, as long as it is a numeric data. If you'd like to watch more similar videos, do subscribe to our channel on ExcelChamp, And don't forget to like this video. Thanks from Vinay. All the best.